Now, WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
This is Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze. It's an early bye week for the Ravens. 6 games into the season. The Ravens are 1-5. The season hanging on by a thread. Only 4 teams have made it to the postseason after starting things 1-5. The Ravens trying to dig themselves out of a deep hole. And John Harbaugh said there's still hope for his team to bounce back and make it to the postseason.
You want to do a bye week now. Our focus going forward and what we can accomplish for the next 11 games and try to earn our way into the playoffs, which obviously, as pointed out last night, has not been done very often with the record we have, but we still believe we can do it.
All right, and joining me this week, as always, we have Grace Grill, Tim Barbalas of 105.7 The Fan, and Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner. And Kyle, I want to start with you because you have an article up right now talking about the Ravens' start to the season, 1-5. I don't think it's how any of us saw this season starting. You say this season needs saving and needs Eric DeCosta specifically to save this team, but you're not sold that this team deserves to be saved.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is, injuries have really hurt this roster. Obviously, they've been missing Lamar Jackson the last few weeks and just a host of defensive talent. I think they need, a disruptive pass rusher. They may need a guard to kind of fill in for a weak spot against the offensive line. I'm not sure that we've seen in a 1-5 start enough fight and cohesiveness in the Ravens who are healthy to justify Eric DeCosta saying, okay, well, let's trade from this other area, or let's use a draft pick for next year and apply it for a trade to get someone who can help this team. I mean, if you look at what happened yesterday, and I know we're going to get to the Cooper Rush of it all, but I don't think there's enough fight in this team right now to justify, okay, let's throw more money at this one or more resources at this one.
Yeah, I do want to take a picture, kind of like a big picture look at how things have gone and kind of look at the state of the Ravens, if you will, and start with the defense. Grace, really have struggled through the first 6 weeks of the season. No team is giving up more points than the Ravens. They're averaging just over 30. Opponents are averaging just over 32 points per game. Just what have you seen from the defense in the early parts of the season?
Well, I don't think we've seen enough, and I think that's the problem. And I want to toss this at Kyle too, just because you made such a good point there, but particularly on defense, like you say, okay, you're not seeing enough fight out of these guys. They got a lot of young guys on that field right now, and I wonder, you hear, okay, everyone wants to go at the coaches, and then it's like there's no player leadership, so it's either one or the other. Every single player has defended Zach Orr and said he's a great coach. So then, to me, that tells me, I'm like, okay, then this is an execution problem. You heard John Harbaugh talk about it today, and it got me thinking, I'm like, when is the last time that the Ravens relied so heavily on starting rookies, particularly on that side of the ball, especially when you throw these injuries in and they're thrown into another role too. And I mean, we've had the conversation last week on the show too, where I think, Alex, you brought it up. It's like the type of player that they're drafting and bringing in. Like, did they miss on some of these guys, or is it just kind of a learning curve?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very fair. One of the guys that they did bring in, and I think made a big difference right away, is Alohi Gilman. He came in the middle of the week and said he spent all night, late nights, early mornings, studying the playbook, learning a new defense. I think it was only 3 days he was in Baltimore and thrown out there, played a bunch of snaps, and really his impact was felt mostly because I think the Ravens were able to move Kyle Hamilton closer to the line of scrimmage, didn't have to line up deep back in safety. Just, Tim, what did you see when we're talking about the changes and the improvements in the defense from Alohi Gilman? I think that was a big part of what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, Alex, I think you hit on it there, where bringing in Alohi Gilman, I don't think we really understated the loss of our Darius Washington around the draft and just how big of a loss that was, because he was making impact plays for this football team in the stretch run of 2024, and having that extra safety, it does exactly what you're saying. It frees up Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton didn't play a snap deep safety yesterday. He was in the box or in the slot the entire game, and I don't think it's coincidence that this defense was much, much better. They gave up only 241 yards to the Rams, just 17 points. That was the number 2 offense coming into yesterday's action, and I felt like that was the best effort we've seen from this defense in quite some time.
It certainly helps when you can have your best player around the ball as much as possible. As we switch gears now to the offense, It also would help if your best player was on the field. Lamar Jackson missed another game, and once again, we just saw kind of how this offense struggles without number 8. We have the stats, actually, if we could pull them up, of just what this season has looked like with Lamar Jackson on the field and without Lamar Jackson on the field. And as you can imagine, there is quite a big difference in what things look like. The Ravens offense averaging just around 32 points per game. With him, a little over 32 points, I should say, per game. Without him, just under a touchdown, 6.5 points per game. So obviously Lamar makes a big difference when he's out there versus when he's not out there.
It's night and day. And
night and day.
You're talking
two-time
about,
MVP.
Exactly. And Lamar Jackson really masks a ton of deficiencies with this offense, namely the offensive line, because of his elusiveness and his ability to push the ball downfield, where Cooper Rush, I think last week against the Texans, I kind of absolved him from a ton of blame because that was just a debacle all around. But yesterday, there really isn't that excuse for Cooper Rush. The Ravens ran the ball really, really well. It was Derrick Henry's best game since week 1. It was his first game going over 100 yards since that game against the Bills. They ran the ball really well, but Cooper Rush just struggled mightily.
I mean, I think it's such a small sample size. I'm not saying I disagree with anything, but I feel like Cooper Rush has gotten so attacked after this, and maybe rightly so for what that game, but I'm like, he's the new guy on campus in a team that is already struggling. You got a bunch of new guys in there. I just feel like there's a little bit of grace that I would give, but I understand everybody's frustration, but it does show the deficiencies when Lamar isn't out there. And I don't know that that's a great thing because you always got to account for injuries, especially at the quarterback position.
Grace giving grace.
I think grace is a kinder heart than
I get it. I hear
grace.
everybody. It was not good.
I watched Cooper Rush and I'm like, I've been watching Cooper Rush since training camp. I'm like, this is not the guy. He doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have the accuracy. Yesterday, I really questioned some of his decisions. I thought he threw into tight coverage, including the interception that he threw, was not a good decision. And, I have problems with this whole offense. I mean, I think when I was talking about lack of fight, I'm really talking about this side of the ball. I mean, is Lamar Jackson really a 25 point per game different player? I know he's special. I know he's an MVP, but the fact that Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, who was a Pro Bowl receiver, last year, Mark Andrews, who former All-Pro, can't carry this offense to more than 6 points per game without Lamar Jackson, I think is a debacle in its own right. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying this team doesn't have enough fight. But clearly Cooper Rush is not the guy to kind of help lead this interim period.
But that's what I'm saying. Everyone's so mad at Cooper Rush. I get it, but it's okay, he is in his first year here. He's still learning everybody too. And I don't know. You think your star receivers and Pro Bowlers that have been in the system for a little bit would help pick up the slack when Lamar's not there?
I think if nothing else, we learned this summer that Lamar Jackson had requested a fully guaranteed contract from Eric DeCosta. Texted him. That didn't go too well. I tweeted this yesterday. I think that contract's going to go a little bit, or that contract talk's going to go a little different the next time around. Lamar proving that by not being out there, just how valuable he is to this Ravens team. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to take a look around the league and play What's the Word? Stay with us. More Purple Connection coming up after this break.
A Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. This is the Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. It's time for What's the Word? I'm going to throw out a phrase and you guys fill in the blank with a word. This week, we'll allow a couple of words because things are getting a little tricky.
Do we have the words?
We might not have the words, but let's try to find them. Let's start here, though, because the red zone offense, I think everyone can agree, has not been great so far this season. So blank has been the Ravens' biggest problem in the red zone. Grace, I'll start with you.
Oh, I thought we were going to phrase it differently because my thought when they're in the red zone is what is happening or what is not happening. It's just I would say red zone is frightening.
I would so blank has been the Ravens' biggest problem in the red zone. I would say offensive line, but I think that is kind of across the board. Daniel Faalele, I don't understand the constant defending of him. Ben Cleveland, I know that there are a lot of issues with Ben Cleveland, but he cannot possibly be worse than Daniel Faalele. I mean, it seems like every week we are looking at a new clip this guy, whether he's being spun around, on the ground multiple times a game. I just don't, he's not blocking anybody. It's a tough watch, and the right guard position, both guards actually have really struggled. But, I mean, I think that's a big reason why offensively they haven't been able to get anything done, especially in the red zone.
This sort of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, Alex, and it's short yardage situations. That's been their biggest problem. And it sounds crazy because this team was so effective in the red zone last year, #1 red zone offense by far and away. But short goal-to-go situations, the Ravens have 11 carries for 8 yards. That's hard to comprehend. They're just getting no push. You saw the debacle where it was 2nd and goal at the 1 yard line, back-to-back tush pushes, and then the Derrick Henry handoff. And that was a huge swing point of the game yesterday. You could have went into halftime up 10-3, but instead it's tied.
Well, and that tells you everything you need to know, right, Kyle? Like, just because you were saying about there's no fight in this team and like play for each other, but I'm like, that is, if you needed a play to expose that, it's there at the goal line.
Yeah, the word I was using on theme with that play is physicality. You know, I mean, Tyler Linderbaum said yesterday they wanted it more in the tush push. The other team wanted it more. He had 3 cracks at the 1 yard line. Is he giving away the game? Is he just saying like, we don't want it that bad? I mean, this is the Baltimore freaking Ravens. I mean, they've been able to punch in. I mean, John Harbaugh mentioned it today in his presser. He's like, we've been able to do this in the past. We've been good at short yardage in the past. We've been good at red zone in the past. They were one of the best red zone offenses last year. If you can't punch it in from 3 tries from the 1 yard line, boy, you got to bring some more physicality.
If you listen closely, Tyler Linderbaum's been saying the quiet part out loud for a couple weeks now. I remember asking him if this team is still bought in, and he just said, I hope so. So, you know. Next one, the Ravens have looked blank through the first 6 weeks. Kyle, I'll start with you.
Yeah, confused is what I mean, to go with a little bit what Grace is saying, what is happening. I feel that way, especially when I look at the offense. I mean, there's some defensive clips yesterday that were not good. I mean, Devontae Adams should have had a touchdown in the back of the end zone, and Malachi Starks looked confused. But they look very confused in offense, and I don't really get why the running game has not been able to yield more points. I mean, we were talking about how much better Derrick Henry was yesterday, how much better the run game looked yesterday, and they're still not able to punch it in because of what we talked about. So I'd just say these guys look confused, and there's confusion reigning on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I would say flat. I'd say stale. I mean, these guys look like they completely lost their swagger. Like, that's always how the Ravens have played on both sides of the ball, and we just have not seen that at all.
I would just say unrecognizable. The fact that we're talking about lack of physicality, the ineffectiveness in short yardage situations, the offense looking completely disjointed, it doesn't look like Ravens football at all. And it hasn't, and you add it all up, and it's a 1-5 start.
Absolutely. All right, the final one here. Eric DeCosta needs to do blank to save this season. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to give myself multiple words. I'm going to say make a move. Make a move. I mean, we were saying this for the past couple weeks since the Nnamdi Madubuike news came out. I need to see the buy-in that they are demanding from the players, from the front office. You know, this team has never traded a first-round pick. I think it's going to take that kind of big move. Obviously, you need a trading partner to do this with, but they need to find one of those nose tackles, a Nnamdi Madubuike caliber player, to plug the middle of this defense. That is so crucial, and I think that's a big reason why the defense has struggled so much, especially in the run game this season. I need to see Eric DeCosta and this Ravens front office make a move.
They need a fear factor.
Yeah.
Like, offenses just look too comfortable coming in. I mean, it was really bad against the Texans when you saw their rookie, his name's eluding me right now, but their rookie get his first career NFL touchdown, and he's hitting the Ray Lewis dance. I was like, that's bold from a rookie, but like, I get it. Like, I've never seen another team come into a Ravens field, home field, and do that to them. And then the Rams, were doing it too. It was crazy.
Kyle, you wrote about it. What does DeCosta need to do?
I'm going to say nothing.
Nothing.
This team hasn't justified the investment, and
That's fair.
I think something does have to change to save the season, but I wouldn't do anything if I were Eric DeCosta, because this ship be sinking.
Yeah, Kyle, we did a segment very similar to your column, which was great at the Baltimore Banner. It's a very tough line for Eric DeCosta to walk because you're 1-5. You have to be realistic about where you're at. And is this team one player away? Are they even two players away from getting back into the mix of winning a Super Bowl? And I'm with you. I don't think it is. And we know how adverse Eric DeCosta can be in trading draft picks, especially premium draft picks. But you add to the fact that this could be your highest draft pick that you've had in quite some time.
Torrey Smith's been giving me grief for weeks now because over the summer I said it might be the best Ravens roster ever. As you can imagine, I haven't heard the end of that for the past couple weeks. So, this roster's stacked, guys. The guys are there. They got to figure it out and put it together in these last 11 games. All right, we have more Purple Connection coming up after this. Stay with us.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. The League Checkup, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. It's time for League Checkup. A lot of great things happening around the league. A lot of exciting games throughout the NFL. And, let's talk about a couple of the big ones. The big talker, I think, today, Dolphins dropping to 1-5 after losing to the Chargers. But it's not so much what happened in the game. It's what Tua Tagovailoa said after the game that has people talking. Baker Mayfield, we talked about him last week on the show, the MVP favorite now. Bucs beat the 49ers. Drake May, the Patriots found a quarterback. Mike Vrabel and Pats coming here in a couple weeks, couple months. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that one. And the Chiefs, back to being the Chiefs. They beat the Lions on Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns. Grace, what stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some of those headlines, like, okay, Drake May and the Patriots, and then the Chiefs figuring it out again. We've heard, this is the time of the season where, okay, you struggle earlier on, but you're starting to figure it out. You're in your rhythm, and your identity's coming to shape. That's what's so concerning, is that you're seeing other teams do that, and the Ravens have not been able to do that. And that's the only thing, not the only thing, but one of the big things that concerns me of them come back after the bye. But the other thing that stood out was that Miami game was pretty wild with Tua afterwards. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, ooh, okay.
Guys, I got to tell you, I was sitting on my couch last night watching that Chiefs game, and when you see Mahomes doing this, he's feeling it.
I know.
But hold on. I have never seen Mahomes stare someone down, and then when he flexed, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the Chiefs are back!"
And
they're back.
And he's getting his guys back.
Did they ever really leave? That's the question. They're the Undertaker meme. They're constantly behind you. They come up behind you, and they're always alive. I never believed the Chiefs are out of it until, I guess, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid retire on the same day.
Right? You almost think they do it for the plot.
Yeah, as long as 15's out there, things are definitely going to be interesting. But how do you see this MVP race shaping up now? I mean, I think Josh Allen's the favorite. Then it's Mahomes, Baker. I mean, Tim. We love Baker up here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great three-way battle for the MVP. One of those three guys. The Bills, they have a very soft schedule, so Josh Allen is going to be able to put up some stats. They're going to win a lot of games. Patrick Mahomes is having his best season since his last MVP season in 2022, but watch out for Baker Mayfield, man. I mean, the Bucs, they just keep getting it done, and he keeps having those signature moments. Like, what was it, 3rd and 14 that he picked up running yesterday, getting up, all fired up. It's fun watching Baker Mayfield.
I'm paying close attention to this MVP race and how people are voting, because if we're going to hold people to the same standard we did last year, who's doing more with less, right? Baker Mayfield. No one's doing more with less than Baker Mayfield.
I would agree.
And did you see what Kevin Durant tweeted about Baker Mayfield yesterday?
Well, he took off his exclamation points. Yeah.
Baker, you are hooping. That is the definition of what he does. 3% chance of conversion by Next Gen Stats on that run that Tim brought up, by the way. That guy is freaking hooping. And the Browns have never been worse. What a great life for Baker Mayfield.
The Browns are trading away the guy that they thought was good enough to be the starting quarterback to a division rival. It's just funny how some teams do business. All right, we're going to wrap up the show. More Purple Connections coming up after a quick break. Stay with us.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. And now, Game Day Advice, brought to you by Rice Law. For the best advice, call Rice.
Welcome back to Purple Connection. You're probably wondering, what can the game day advice be in the bye week? Well, don't lose the bye. This team right now, they're banged up. Look at this list of guys. Lamar Jackson, he's been out for a couple weeks with a hamstring. So is Roquan Smith. Ronnie Stanley, that ankle, that is something to really keep an eye on. And then Tavius Robinson, obviously a massive loss for this defense, dealing with that broken foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Tavius is one of those guys, like not even from the injury standpoint that's a loss at where this defense is right now, but he is like, on top of that, he's that good energy, good vibes guy. You know, I mean, we enjoy talking to him, but like, don't loosen the amount that kind of stuff plays into success.
Loss.
Media good guy, and I was telling Jeff Zaribek a couple weeks ago. Right now, he's got my vote for media good guy. You know, he's probably my favorite person to talk to in the locker room. Tavius, always a pleasure. But Kyle, when you look bigger picture and just what that injury means to this Ravens pass rush that has struggled, just traded away Odafe Owe. Right now, we're looking at that outside linebacker room. You got Kyle Van Noy, you have David Ajabo, and I mean, I'm looking right now, and they are really going to struggle. Moving forward, that room is looking really thin.
Yeah, and you got Mike Green.
And Mike Green. How could I forget Mike Green? I'm sorry.
His first NFL sack. They're going to have to sign a guy off the street. I mean, for sure. That's what this bye week is going to entail, getting somebody. I was joking yesterday, is that Yannick Ngakwe's music? I don't know if they're going there, but somebody off the street will come in. We know it. And, you know, Eric DeCosta is going to have to decide how much in terms of draft capital, trade capital. You've got a former All-Pro receiver in DeAndre Hopkins who's being underutilized here. You've got 2 tight ends who are in contract years. Could you trade one of them for an edge guy? It seems doubtful, but that's the kind of stuff that the front office is going to have to look at.
Maybe there's a guy on the roster, maybe like a K'Mon Rucker, somebody they can bring up from the practice squad. John Harbaugh says that they're going to explore all those options during this bye week. But that kind of brings us to our question of the week. As we deal with this bye week like everyone else, we want to hear from you. What is the top priority during the bye week? You can connect with us on social media, send your responses. The best will make it on Sunday to Purple Pregame. So guys, I'll throw it out here to you guys. Grace, I'll start with you. What is the top priority for the bye week?
I just think for these guys to, like, sometimes during the bye week when they're sitting there watching football, like, a lot of guys will say, like, oh, you know, it's nice to get a break, but, like, you do watch it and you do, like, kind of miss it. It's like when you actually get to step away from doing it yourself and you get to go and watch these other teams play football, like, and you see how you're not playing that type of football, I hope it motivates them. I hope something just, like, clicks in.
Tim?
I think it's a very simple answer. Get Lamar Jackson healthy. Like, it's that easy. Like, he needs to be out there against the Bears. And I thought it was very interesting, John Harbaugh after the game saying, yeah, he'll be out there. And then a follow-up question, well, I can't guarantee it, but I really want him out there. He's trying to will it into existence. And this team desperately needs number 8 to be back against the Bears and put on the Superman cape.
Kyle, really quick, what's that top priority for you?
Obviously, you know, Owings Mills is a Hopkins North, but I would say find your pride. Find your pride. Find why you do this. Put a better product in the field when you play the Bears in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Another quick injury update, though. You were talking about the defense, like Adisa Isaac. John Harbaugh did speak to him today, saying that it wasn't full season, but they do expect him mid-November, so that maybe could be a little bit of a help, too.
Oh, gosh, if you're banking on Adisa Isaac, really some dark times here. But, yeah, get healthy. Get healthy during the bye, guys. All right, that'll do it for this week's Purple Connection. For Grace Grill, Tim Barbless, and Kyle Goon, I'm Alex Glaze. We do this show every Monday during the regular season. We will be back next week. Have a good night.